First, the road has turned bumpy for some kids who rolled into City Hall to save their cage. We'll have an explanation up next. Local skateboarders call it the cage. It's a fenced-in tennis court at Tyson Park where the youngsters can practice their moves safely. But they're up in arms because City Park officials have ordered the area closed. As Norman Hammett reports, the kids were out in force protesting the action.
These skateboarders would rather ride the ramps than carry signs, but they have no choice. City officials have decided to close their skateboarding park and tear down $3,000 worth of handmade ramps. It's the only facility of its kind in the city.
I wish they'd reopen it because I see it as a safe place for kids to recreate and to practice a healthy sport.
Park officials disagree. They consider the area a high risk. The remote site is unsupervised, and the main concern is money. Not to repair damages, but to repair children should they get hurt.
When we realized the possible liability to this and the fact that we felt like due to it being a high-risk type of sport or recreation activity, it would need to be supervised, then we have told them until further notice that that facility cannot be used for skateboarding.
Don't close our cage. Lock us in, not out.
So the kids grabbed their signs and boards and skated to City Hall. They were soon joined by curious onlookers and supportive parents who don't want to see their children forced to ride in the streets.
Streets are bumpy and cracked and concrete, you know, so that would be dangerous.
Within the last week, several children have been hit by cars, such as the bicycle incident where a young girl was killed by a speeding car. And I don't want that to happen to me or my friends.
The skateboarders and their supporters hope a compromise with the city can be reached soon. But until that happens, the cage will remain closed and the youngsters will have to find another place to practice. Norman Hammett, 26 News.
Knoxville.
Sheriff's Department confiscated boarders are hoping for a deadline extension on removing ramps from an abandoned tennis court. Last week, the city closed the court, called the Cage, because the activity there was deemed too dangerous. Well, the skateboarders have until 2 o'clock tomorrow to remove the ramps. But as Action 10's Gene Patterson reports, these skateboarders plan to fight City Hall.
Some 20 skateboarders protested in front of the city-county building today, carrying placards denouncing the closing of the Cage. This is the Cage, a makeshift assortment of ramps, jumps, and runways. It's here that skateboarders test their skills and occasionally fall. It's these falls that have city officials nervous.
We have to address the situation of city being liable for that facility and being used unsupervised, because we feel like it is a high-risk type of recreation or a high-risk sport.
But those who skate say with proper safety equipment, skateboarding is no more dangerous than bicycling. And if there is a risk, it's a risk of not understanding.
They're just concerned about people, getting hurt. It's something they don't understand. So when you don't understand something, you try and stop it.
And this parent, Sue Walker, agrees. She's hoping something can be worked out so that her son, Doug, won't have to resort to the streets to skate.
We just want to promote that they allow them to have a public, safe place to skateboard.
Skateboarders say closing the Cage won't stop skateboarding in Knoxville. It'll simply force them out onto the streets and sidewalks, and that, they say, is a much more dangerous situation than a facility like the Cage. Gene Patterson, Action 10 News.
And requires parents to sign waivers of liability. Local skateboarders are hoping to work out an agreement with the city along those lines. If not, it's a good bet the skateboarders will be looking for another site similar to the Cage. And I'm wondering,